How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Ethan Bridge. I'm host of the Social Media Marketing School podcast and the guy behind the Instagram page at The Marketing Ethan. Today's episode is going to be a little bit of a shorter one, but it's something that is incredibly important, and I don't think I've really spoken about it on the podcast before, and this is analysing your metrics. Are you looking at the right metrics when you are analysing your post and then consequently adjusting and refining them to increase their performance? Because the metrics you look at depend on your overarching goal of what you want to achieve from social media. And this all comes down to actually setting up your social media marketing strategy in the first place. Why are you using social media? Are you using it to increase exposure? Are you using it to increase sales? Are you using it to grow your following? Or are you simply using it to provide value to a certain audience? Now, each of these individual goals has its own set of metrics that you need to be analysing if you want to improve on achieving that outcome that you are setting out to achieve in the first place. You need to make sure you are looking at the right ones, because if you are looking at the wrong ones and then focusing on those metrics in order to improve your post, then you're going to end up achieving a different goal opposed to what you actually are aiming to achieve in the first place. So that is why in today's episode, I wanted to just go over the metrics you need to be looking at for each of those different goals you may have set yourself as to what you want to achieve with your social media page. So without any further ado, let's dive into the first goal you possibly want to achieve and the metrics you need to be looking at. So that first goal is exposure. Just simply brand awareness. What do you need to be looking at if you want to improve brand awareness? Well, number one is obviously your reach. How many people is each of your posts reaching? What are the impressions? And how many people are you reaching uniquely? And this is a really important one. Now, not all of these people will follow you. Not all of these people will buy from you, but that wasn't your goal. Your goal was simply exposure. So it comes down to how many people actually saw your piece of content. Simple as that. So your reach, your impressions, they are your two key things you need to be looking at. But then you can also think about, okay, what also applies to reach as an overarching goal? Your hashtag performance. How many people are you reaching with your hashtags? If it's a poor hashtag strategy and it's not reaching many people, you know you need to refine that area of your content so that you can reach more people. What else? How many shares are you getting? Shares have a direct correlation to how many people actually see your post. So if your post isn't getting many shares, you can see that and you can think, okay, what can I implement into each piece of my content so that it gets more shares? Am I relating to people on an emotional level? Am I talking about current trends? Am I talking about things that people want to share with their audience? Because if you aren't, then you aren't going to get many shares. And if exposure is your goal, you want as many people sharing your post as possible. So you need to be looking at that. If you're not getting any shares, thinking, right, what can I do now so that I get more shares? It's as simple as that. But you can sort of gauge from this first example of why you need to be doing this. You need to be analysing, because if you aren't analysing, you are never going to improve. And you need to be consistently improving over time. There's no point in staying stagnant with the quality of your content, because when you stay stagnant, you fall behind, because everyone else is moving forwards, moving upwards, improving. So if you aren't improving, you're constantly losing. So you may think you're ahead at the moment, but all the time you don't improve, people are catching up and overtaking. So analysing your metrics is incredibly important, because you always want to stay on top, or be the person that is striving to be on top. So let's move on to the next goal. Now we're going to look at sales. Sales is my end goal of social media. It's going to be a lot of people's end goal of social media, because Instagram is essentially a traffic generator. It's not your business. It's grabbing people's attention so that you can direct them further down your funnel. So there are certain metrics that you need to be looking at with regards to sales. How many website clicks are you getting? So that little link in your bio, you can actually look at each piece of content and look at the insights and see, right, how many people have gone from this post directly to my website link and clicked it, because there is a metric exactly for that. So this could be influenced by certain things you have in your post. Do you have a call to action? Are you telling people to go and visit that website link? Are you having that call to action in your caption as well? Are you doubling up so people know exactly what they need to do? Telling people exactly what they need to do after your post with a call to action is essential. Otherwise, you're just going to lose that attention immediately. You've grabbed and retained that attention with the piece of content you've posted. Now it's your duty to make sure you do something with that attention. If you aren't using that attention to your advantage, you're wasting it. So have that call to action and direct them to your website link. Direct them to that next part of your funnel. If you want people to email you, this is another thing that could directly relate to a sale. Tell people in your call to action, drop me an email if you want to apply for one-to-one coaching, something along those lines. And then you can easily look at your analytics within Instagram to see how many people have tapped your email link on your profile to send you an email. So email links is another one you need to be looking at. And finally, DMs. A direct message. This is where you sell things to people. You don't need 10,000 followers and a swipe up link to get people to your website in order to sell them. You can sell them in the DMs and redirect them that way. It's the biggest myth that you need 10k followers before you can start monetizing your Instagram. It's as simple as getting someone to the DMs, building that relationship, telling them that you've got that product or service, getting them on that discovery call and selling them that product or service. So, website link clicks, email link clicks, and DMs are the things you should be looking at if you are trying to generate sales with your page. Simple as that. So let's move on to the third goal, value. If your page is simply there because you want to provide value to your audience, you need to be looking at the amount of engagement your post is getting. How many likes are you getting? How many comments are you getting? How many shares are you getting? And how many saves are you getting? These are the things that the algorithm deems as engagement factors that is going to influence how many people it pushes your content to, and it indicates how valuable your post is to your current audience. If people enjoy consuming your post, they're going to like it. If it brings some curiosity and you ask a question they need to answer within your post itself, or if they've got questions or they simply want to compliment you on how good your post is, they're going to leave a comment. If they found it so valuable that they think their audience is going to enjoy consuming it as well, they're going to share it. If it's something that is trendy or new release that everyone needs to know about, leads to shares. Or if you're providing so much value that they want to refer back to it in the future, they're going to save it so they can. They don't want to forget about your post. So these are all things you need to be looking at if you are looking at providing value as your key goal, because the amount of engagement you're getting is a direct indicator as to whether that is the case. The more value you provide, the better and higher your engagement is going to be. And obviously, they will increase as you grow your audience, but it's still down to you to continuously provide that value, because the more value you provide, the more people you're going to attract to your page, which in turn does lead to that higher engagement. So it does all come full circle, but looking at each of those engagement factors and making sure they're all increasing at the same rate is incredibly important. If you're seeing that you're getting a decent amount of likes, you're getting a decent amount of comments, but no shares, you need to be looking at that and going, right, okay, I'm lacking in this area on my content. How can I improve that to up my shares? Or if you're getting new saves, how can I add certain value? Maybe add some lists. People will save your content because you add a list, because they want to refer back to that list and implement everything you have mentioned. Maybe add that to your post. If you talk about a certain process or teach people how to do something step by step, they are going to want to save that post because they are going to want to refer back to it to make sure that when they do implement it, they are doing it the right way. So looking at each engagement factor individually, and if one is slacking, look at it and go, right, okay, what can I do to my content to improve that certain engagement factor? That's incredibly important, and you need to be doing this with all of your content. You need to be tweaking, adjusting, refining, improving so that you are increasing every aspect with regards to your engagement. So now moving on to the final goal number 4, and this is growth. You may want to just grow your audience. It's not exposure, because exposure, people might not directly follow you and increase your audience number, your follower number. But your goal might be at this moment in time to grow your followers and therefore you need to be looking at those metrics only. But it's not just as simple as your follower growth week on week. That is obviously a metric that you are going to be consistently looking at. Is it exponentially increasing? Is it increasing gradually? Are you going up and down every single day? You obviously want that gradual or exponential increase. That is what we all want. But if you're going up and down, that is not good. One day you might lose followers. You want to be consistently increasing it. So that is a metric you need to be looking at, because if you are going up and down, you're obviously not focusing on follower retention. Are you building a relationship with your audience so that they don't unfollow you? These are all things you need to be looking at. But another thing with regards to follower growth, you need to be looking at your follower conversion rate. How many people visiting your page are actually clicking that follow button? And you can work this out. You can look at your amount of followers for the week and your amount of page visitors for the week, and then work out the conversion rate between the two. Now, you want this to be as high as you possibly can. And mine used to be around 20%, but then I made some tweaks to my page, and now I'm currently sitting around a 45% conversion rate, and I'm very, very happy with that. But that came down to refining my content, refining my bio, refining the way I portrayed myself as an individual and a personal brand. These are all things that are going to influence your follower conversion rate. Your bio and the content itself being the two key ones, in my opinion. Your bio needs to be structured incredibly well. I've made an episode on that in the past, so I'm not going to go into it in too much detail, but I'll go into it very briefly. It needs to say who you are and what you do. It needs to have some social proof. It needs to give people that reason as to why they should follow you. How are they going to benefit from following you? People are very self-centered when it comes to social media. They will only follow people for their own personal gain. So you need to tell them why they should follow you. What are they going to get from you if they follow you? So all of those different things need to be within your bio to give yourself the best opportunity to convert that person into a follower. So we're looking at our follower growth week on week. We are looking at our follower conversion rate. But another thing we can look at is, are we appearing on the suggested for you tabs? Obviously, you'll need another account to actually see whether this is happening for you. You can log in on your other account, go on the other big creators within your niche and see whether you're showing up on these, because showing up on a suggested for you page is going to obviously increase the amount of followers you gain organically. You aren't having to gain these followers by reaching out to them and engaging with their content or showing up on hashtags or showing up on the explore page. You are just showing up in the suggested for you tab because you are related to other influencers, other creators within your niche, and therefore people just follow you because they want to follow more people who are similar to the account they have just followed. So you need to look at these things. How can you begin to show up on this suggested for you tab? Again, I have made an episode in the past about showing up on the suggested for you tab. If you want to learn how to do that, make sure you go back and listen to it. I'm not going to talk about it now because I've created a whole episode dedicated solely to that. That's another thing you should be looking at. Are you showing up on the suggested for you tab? Because all of these different things are going to lead to that growth. They're going to lead to that end goal. So when it really comes down to it, you just need to be considering what your overarching goal of social media is. Why are you on social media? Because that goal is going to influence the metrics that you analyze and continue to look at so that you can refine your page, improve your content, so that those metrics increase as you want them to. So that answers the question of, are you looking at the right metrics? And I strongly suggest you sit down and you do work this out. You look at your metrics every single week. Have a spreadsheet. I keep all of my metrics in a spreadsheet so that I can keep track and split test things and analyze so that I have the optimum strategy to give myself the best advantage. If you can keep track of your metrics and see how they improve or deteriorate over time, it helps you look and pick out certain things that you so that you can stay on top of them and improve as a result. But there you have it. That is how you analyze the right metrics on your content and your profile. And that does wrap up today's video. As you can see, I'm a very new creator on YouTube, so every little helps when it comes to hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button, and turning on post notifications. But I did just want to say that this is a part of my podcast series, Social Media Marketing School, and the audio version of the podcast is actually the place to be. Why? Because I actually released these episodes a couple of days earlier on the audio version of the podcast, and then they'll come out a couple of days later here on YouTube. So if you want to consume this content a little bit sooner, make sure you head over to the audio version and subscribe there. I'll leave some links in the description, so just scroll down and check those out and make sure you hit that subscribe button. But if you've got any questions with regards to anything I've mentioned in today's video, please just reach out to me on Instagram at themarketingethan, send me a DM, and I'll make sure I get back to you no matter what. But I just want to finish off by saying, if you have made it to this point in the video, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.